Mixing and mastering. Name a better duo. I'll wait. Whether you like it or not, there's going to be a point in your songwriting process where you have to mix your tracks, and sometimes that can be frustrating. But with just an EQ, stereo enhancers, and compression, you can get your tracks from sounding like this to this to this. Also, really quick, if you didn't know, recently I decided to release my acapellas and vocal chops sample pack. Link in the description. This pack is absolutely filled to the brim with over 25 acapellas and vocal chops completely written and sung by me. On top of all that, I've decided to include all of my major project files as a bonus just for you guys. And if you use the promo code ELATION at checkout, you'll get the pack for $10 off. So without further ado, let's get into it. When writing your track, it's important to distinguish mixing from sound design. While they might be similar processes, adding something like a fat rack to your bass is different from EQing, gain staging, and compressing each track to mix everything together, hence the term mixing. For this track, let's start by taking a look at the leads. Right away, I noticed the large amount of low end that these leads currently have. To solve that, I added a high pass filter to each lead at around 140 Hz, but this should change from sound to sound depending on the lowest fundamental frequency of your melody. So after adding the EQs, the lead started to sound like this. For the next important mixing step, I added a sidechain, which is essential to create space for the kick to punch through the mix. When sidechaining, I would recommend avoiding plugins like Kickstart and Volume Shaper and stick to regular volume automation. But when doing so, make sure to not use your mixer sliders, but rather a fruity balance in your mixing chain. This way, you can avoid volume smoothing. When you have multiple leads, it's important to mix your stereo space properly. For your main driving lead, you should always try keeping it in mono, whereas other accents and layers should all be sitting at different stereo widths. After adding stereo enhancers to each lead, it started to sound like this. Finally, to tighten up the mix, I used OTT compression as a multi-band compressor and kept the lowest band and depth at relatively low rates. So after mixing all your leads together, they should sound like this. Now let's give a listen to the bass section. At first glance, it's clear that our basses have way too many sub-frequencies that would clash with our sub-bass. To solve this, I added a high-pass filter at 140 Hz to each bass to leave plenty of room for a kick and sub. After EQing all the basses, they started to sound like this. When mixing stereo width for your basses, it's important to keep most of them in mono. However, adding some small stereo enhancements to your accent layers can help make the bass sit better in the mix. After adding stereo width and sidechain, our basses started to sound like. Finally, I added some more multi-band OTT compression to glue all the basses together. Here's what that sounds like. Let's move on to the synths. Like everything else, it's clear that there's too much low end, so I added a pretty harsh high pass filter, only letting through those higher harmonics. Here's what that sounded like. Since I'm only using one layer for my synth, I decided to use a very high stereo setting to keep it noticeable in the mix. After some reverb and sidechain, here's what our synth sounds like. For our drums, there's one thing that I would emphasize above all else, and that's make sure that every single sweep and hi-hat and clap has a high-pass filter cutting all low frequencies. Even if you think they aren't there, you'll be surprised of how much those quieter frequencies can add up even after just a few sounds. So with everything mixed, let's hear the result. When it comes to mastering, I have one easy trick that can create tons of headroom, allowing you to get an instantly loud master without crushing your harmonics. That trick is gain staging. When writing your track, do so as you normally would, adjusting the level so that your mix isn't clipping beyond the point where you can no longer hear it. However, when it comes time to master, make sure you collectively bring every single sound in your mix down exactly 14 decibels. Some producers recommend other values like 12 or 16, but I found that 14 has always worked best for me. The end goal should always be about 8 decibels of headroom after you gain stage every track. That way, when you open your mastering plugin, whether it be something like Ozone, Maximus, or even SoundGoodizer, you'll have plenty of room to work on your multi-band dynamics, harmonic excitement, and limiters/maximizers. For this tutorial, I'll be using Ozone, but you can use just about anything, as long as it has multi-band dynamics. To start, I enable my maximizer and bring down the threshold 3 to 4 decibels. Next, I try and keep the character speed anywhere from 0 milliseconds to 5 milliseconds. Here's what that should sound like. Next, I enable the Dynamics tab and solo the lowest band. I start raising the gain value until I start to hear distortion. Once you do, bring the dial down to a safe amount. Rinse and repeat for the next 3 bands until you have a relatively distortion-free master. Here's what that should sound like. Next, I open the stereo imaging tab and force all sub-frequencies to mono and slowly raise the stereo width together as the frequencies get higher. Finally, to add just a little bit more excitement to the master, I open up the harmonic exciter and apply very subtle amounts to the mid-range where the punch of our kick is most present, and a few more points to the high end to create more energy. Now with everything mixed and mastered, let's hear the before and after results again. Thank you guys so much for watching. I don't even know how to express my gratitude. When I uploaded my last video, we were at 17,000 subscribers, and now we're about to hit 20,000. So to help celebrate with you guys, I decided to make a website for the channel at elation-sounds.com. You'll be able to find all my sample packs there, as well as upcoming free downloads and tutorials. I hope you guys like it. Cheers.